Hello, this is Cotton Stoops. Welcome back to another HTUC video. And of course, these Loomians don't need any introduction. It is three old Loomians coming back from last year, and that is the Cosmiores. Cosmiores here are, in my opinion, pretty cool, and most of the time that does not translate into PvP. But however, I will be telling you how to use all of these guys to their fullest potential and how you can stop them from defeating your team. So this is how to use and counter Cosmiore. Of course, in any team composition, you need to know what these Loomians do. So in order to know that, you need to look at their base stats and see their base value. The only thing you need to know about Cosmiore Encased here is that it's bulky all around, but very slow and not that much power. And what I mean by that, it has 84 range attack. Obviously, 84 range attack isn't very good at all. 46 speed is one of the lower base speeds in the game, but its bulk does make up for its low speed and attack. What does that mean? It will be really good? Well, I won't answer that question here. I might make a analysis video soon. The base stats for Cosmiore Cracked here, they're actually pretty decent. They share the same qualities from Cosmiore Encased, 99, 43 melee attack. Yeah, it's pretty much the same base stat point. However, two things to note: it has lower energy and melee defense and range defense as well. But note, it's an offensive Loomian now, a range attacking offensive Loomian. Its base stats in terms of range attack and speed can closely be related to Valkyrie, except you just -1 from this and add it to the speed. But yeah, its defenses are really good for an offensive Loomian, so it allows cracked Cosmiore to switch in and possibly set up on a lot of stuff. And yeah, this is really good for Cosmiore Cracked. However, for Cosmiore Unleashed, it is the least bulkiest and has the least energy out of all of these guys. But that does not mean it's really bad, because it has the highest melee attack and highest attack stat out of all of these guys, and it's also the fastest, making it an offensive wall breaker, or it can be your team's cleaner. Not to mention it has really good melee defense and the same HP stat, and that's really good for an offensive cleaner and can be abused to make it even stronger. So let's get on with the typings. Now another thing you need to know about the Cosmiores is that they have a lot of resistances, and this will help you out a lot actually. Electric, Brawler, Mine, Fire, Water, Plant are really common typings, except for Plant in the metagame. Their big examples for electric types are like Joltooth, Zulong, and even electric type move users like Protagon and Iguana. As well for brawler types, Wrestling and Mutagon are really big parts of the metagame, and you might see a couple of Your Souls and Tot types as well. For mine types, they're not as much, but Mutagon is a mine type. Fire and Water are pretty common, except for Fire. Chartiki and Infernix are pretty much the only ones that are common. For Water, you have Cephalops, Luminami, Garlash, and much more water types that you have to switch in on. But for weaknesses, it's pretty much the same thing as resistances in the terms of there is a lot that can switch, that can kill you. A lot of dark type users like the Vesperatu and Ursul, Garlash are all Loomians that can hit you super effective. As well for bug types, you have Spreezy and Smolder and Garbantis to worry about, as well as Ventation. Ancient types, Obsidian is rising, Joltooth is rising, other Cosmiores will threaten you out, and as well as Oxidrake being a really big threat against you. And for metal types here, Valkyrie, Stratosaur, Tyrex, Protagon. Yeah, there are a lot of stuff that can hit you super effective, but you do have a lot of resistances to take advantage of. And the rest here, there's not a lot of typings you want to make note of, maybe except for Ice and Spirit. But yeah, you have 0 immunities as well, so don't expect that much. So, of course, this is the most important part of the video, and that's the sets. The sets here is pretty simple for Cosmiore case. You want the ability Enchanted Coat as well as this personality, because this increases your bulk, and robust/robust frail makes you take advantage of your melee defense side. The reason why we're running robust is because you want to tank melee attackers like Wrestling and Mutagon. Psycho Blast, Meteor Crash are your 2 main stab moves, and Slumber will be your best move ever. Peace of Mind and Ice Cold Trap, or Ice Cold Trap, you want either one of these. I would suggest Peace of Mind because this isn't a really great Ice Cold Trap setter, so you know, that's not really cool. For the item Mysterious Dust, you want to let you wake up as fast as possible, because Slumber lets you be asleep for 3 turns, and that obviously isn't good for Loomians that can set up on you. So that's why we're carrying Mysterious Dust. And for the HP, this is maximizing your HP, and this is maximizing your melee defense. But for the energy, you want this to get up to 300 energy at level 50 battles. So you can use 6 Slumbers, or 5 such Psycho Blasts, 2 Peace of Minds, or 2 Slumbers, and 1 Psycho Blast, and the rest are Peace of Minds. So yeah, that's basically it. For Cosmiore Crack, it's a bit more complicated, but nothing to be worried about. For Cosmiore Crack, the ability of choice is obviously Enchanted Coat again. Regift isn't really good on an offensive Loomian, especially since when there's a lot of Loomians that can hit you super effective that Regift can abuse, so that's not really safe. Smart/Smart Frail is a personality of choice, so you are maximizing your range attack damage. Psycho Blast and Meteor Crash, those are your main range attacking moves, and the same thing with Cosmiore in case. Icicle Traps are either or here. Since this is a more offensive Loomian, you might want to consider running Icicle Traps over Slumber. However, having Peace of Mind and Slumber is pretty good because you still have the attribute of switching in on a lot of stuff, so keep that in mind. For the TPs, it's actually a bit more complicated, but we will get into that. For the items, Mysterious Dust or Ancient Essence. If you don't want to run Slumber, run Ancient Essence, and if you don't want to run Ancient Essence, run Mysterious Dust and Slumber, so there you go. For the HP, this is your leftovers. No. Well, with this HP, you can live moves with Enchanted Coat against Zulong, Protogon, Valkyrie, Desperatu, Ursul, Oxydrake. Yeah, a lot of these super effective moves against you, you will live at max HP. Although if you're like at 50%, I wouldn't even try to, I would just switch. 144 speed is leftovers, as well as the range defense, and 200 range attack lets you do as much damage as possible, and 64 energy lets you use 5 Psycho Blasts, or 1 Slumber, 2 Peace of Minds, 4 Psycho Blasts, and yeah, that's basically it. But for Cosmiore Unleashed, it's probably the most simplest here. Ability of choice is Surrogate. You can try to run Idiosyncratic, but range attacking Unleashed doesn't really sound cool, especially when there's a better range attacking cleaner, and that's Metronet. So Brawny/Brawny Clumsy lets you do as much damage with your melee attack. You can run Nimble to outspeed Smart Duskets and everything below it, but I wouldn't even try it. It's a viable choice though. Cerebral Slash and Meteor Smash, these are your best melee attacking moves. I wouldn't try anything else. Body Slam isn't really worth it because metal resists you, and that's the common typing that people will use against you. Bulk Up or Ice Cold Trap, either one works, and same thing for Cosmiore Cracked. You can run either or. I don't need to explain items because it's the same thing with Cosmiore Cracked. 12 energy lets you use 4 Cerebral Slashes, 1 Bulk Up, or 4 slumbers and 1 bulk up. It can be any of these mixture moves, just as long as it stays under 250 energy. I'm not sure. You can use 4 of these and then 1 of these. That's what I'm saying. 200 speed lets you outspeed stuff like Cosmiore cracked. No defensive Infernixes, defensive offensive Akaloses, Rathalans, even potentially defensive Nemares and Vesperatus. So that's pretty cool. You want to be running the same set if you want to consider running Nimble. So yeah, there you go. And the 200 melee attack is doing as much damage as possible. So let's get on with the checks and counters. So the checks and counters here are pretty interesting. Well, not really interesting in the sense that will benefit you, but still. Oh, hold on, wait a minute. Here we go. These are all typings that will kill you because they're metal types. And the one exception here is Illuminami and Ileguana, but we'll move on to that later. These 3 metal types counter you hard. Well, not really Stratosaur because you can set up on it if you want to. I don't condemn it. I don't really want you to risk it. These 2 will be the 2 main offenders to your offensive team because these guys resist both of your moves, especially Body Slam if you want to run that, which don't run that. Valkyrie here, you can try and do some stuff with Cracked and Encased, but 1 Crack doesn't do nearly enough damage for Valkyrie to be threatened, as well as Cosmiore and Case. And for Tyrex, while you can try setting up with bulk ups, Tyrex will terrify you once when it switches in, so you're automatically at -1 if you try not bulking up on it. Although it's more of Valkyrie that you need to be worried about. For Stratosaur here, it doesn't really do much to you except Eerie Streak, Metal Streak I mean, so yeah, you can not worry about this too much, but still be worried about that. For Luminami here, it's actually a bit more weirder, because Luminami is a pivot, so it can't do anything to you, so it will rely on faster Loomians trying to get in on you. So that, of course, isn't really great for Luminami, but it is an option for it. And for Ileguana, it's a bit more consistent compared to Luminami. You can run the Energized set on this thing, so it will help counter these guys more. You can run Very Robust or just Robust on its own to help out with this guy. So yeah, it's not too threatening if you do decide to run these guys instead of these 2. So let's get on with the other one. For counters and checks, there's a lot of main ones you need to be worried about, but the main ones that I'm not too worried about is Hunter and Diborg. While these guys do really good against you, Hunter doesn't really have good defenses, but it can kill you if you're not worried about it. So you're gonna need a lot of stuff to counter Hunter. You can run stuff like Obsidian if you really want to, or even the case of Tundrelin, Insulated Tundrelin, but I wouldn't bet on it. You can also run Terrifying Ursul, but yeah, that's a thing. Diborg here, Tank Diborg is the only thing that can check these guys. In terms of Diborg versions, I wouldn't try using this though. This is just a last resort if you need a poison type that can kill these guys, so there you go. Protagon here, it's more of Hunter's case, except it has better bulk, plus it is in most cases faster than these guys, so there you go. You need to run Nimble in order to outspeed Nimble Cosmiore if it does show up, but running Smart on this is pretty good as well. It's not needed to run Nimble, but you can run Smart or Nimble, your choice. For these guys, while they can hit you with ancient moves, the main reason why these guys are on here is because they can live hits if they're invested into defenses, and they can hit you back really hard, especially since these guys have priority moves, so they can slap down you or whatever, and then they can kill you off with the next priority move. So I wouldn't try 1v1ing these, except these are damaged. So let's get on with the cores that you can use for Cosmiore. So defensive cores are pretty limited. Well, not pretty limited. These Cosmiore in case does have the weaknesses it's worried about, but other than that, you can run these guys to help you out. More or less Spreezy than Swolder, because Swolder here can resist your bug and dark weakness, but if you're worried about earth types, you can run Spreezy. You do resist dark and bug like Swolder, but Swolder's is a toxic type, so it does help get rid of barbs. And for Chartiki here, it's mostly for the metal types. You can 1v1 a lot of the metal types in a game, except Oxydrake, which will kill you if you're not Bard or Ash. Valkyrie will kill you, it can set up on you, it can 1v1 Tyrex, so that's good. And it can wall the pivots, like I said earlier, that can counter these guys. And it can do really well against Protagon. So yeah, there you go. One thing that you do have to note here, there is no ancient resistance, and that's a big problem. So you should probably run metal types alongside Cosmiore, especially because it resists also bug, and it also resists metal on its own if it's a pure metal type, or just Tyrex in general. So there you go, you can add a Tyrex onto here and it'll be really good. However, for the offensive core, we have Tyrex again, because it's a really good Loomian for these Cosmiores. For the cracked offensive core, you could run Terrafly and Tyrex along with it. Terrafly is another option if you don't want to run a Smolder, but there you go. You can run either or for the offensive core. The melee attackers are mainly here to help break your ranged walls, mostly Valkyrie and Chartiki, and this is here to help break the melee walls these guys are walled by. Mostly Obsidian and Tundulin, so there you go. For Cosmiore Unleashed, you have Chartiki here. Like I said, Chartiki is a defensive answer for a lot of the meta, but it's also a pretty good Loomian in terms of offense. You can also try running Infernix, but I wouldn't really recommend it. And yeah, Valkyrie and these guys over here, either or really works. Valkyrie's really good, especially since it can resist your bug types. It generally does well against other metal types as well. And it's a main ancient killer for a lot of the ancient types that isn't called Zulong. So there you go. Harvest Sect and Terrafly, either or. Again, you need to be worried about your dark and bug weakness, although this covers their bug weakness. But dark is really good in the meta, so you need to watch out. So running Harvest Sect might be the safest option for you, but running Terrafly is also a great option, considering it can just outright one-shot the dark type, so there you go. For cleaner/sweepers, you want to pair these guys with Hunter and Protagon are obvious answers because they can resist metal and bug for you, and ancient as well, so that's pretty neat for these guys. Especially when you compare Protagon with cracked. No, pair Protagon up with Unleashed, and you can prepare this for cracked, because you can take surrogate this. You can run any of these sweepers with any of these Cosmiores, and they will do great, so don't feel too limited with these answers. And for the down bad Loomians, oh my god, I hate myself. The down bad Loomians, it's basically Mutagon, the Totab, and Wrestlin here, because all of these three can get one-shotted or die to you. You do resist Plant and Brawler against Totab, so you are an outright counter to this thing. You're also an outright counter against Wrestlin, because Wrestlin has both of its moves that it usually runs resisted, And for Mutagon, you resist both of its moves other than Cross Punch, but we don't talk about that. Main guys here, I wouldn't try running 1v1ing. No, I wouldn't try 1v1ing Tundrolin with Unleashed, considering it does have bulk up and the resilience thing, so that's not really great. However, Cracked here can one-shot a 200 HP non-range invested Tundrolin here, so that's pretty good as well. And for Venolin here, all of these guys are safe for this guy, especially when you run a Mysterious Dust, so that's a really good thing to have. Obviously, you made it to the end of the video. Congratulations. Like the video if you find this video informational, then of course subscribe if you're into that. I don't really care what you do. I just want to pump out these videos for you guys, and that's basically what I try doing here. So like the video, subscribe if you're new, join the Discord. I actually have one, so join that if you really want to see me. DM me about some stuff you want to know, and there you go. Remember, Zulong equals the dumpster fire, and I'll see you in the next video.